I want Aemond Targaryen.
Spoiler alert. It's hard to deny that Team Black is still in a dire situation, even if the narrative and the marketing campaign for House of the Dragon have made a big deal out of viewers and characters picking one of the two sides. One thing going for them is that they do have a leader in Rhaenyra who, knowing her greater role as the Queen of Westeros, inspires devotion among her followers and only resorts to violence as a last resort. Regretfully, the Queen finds herself surrounded by a council of men who are, at best, inexperienced and, at worst, impulsive, much like Daemon Matt Smith was during their marriage. Even when Baela gives them vital information, most of them openly mock powerful women, and Corlys Velaryon is the only one who truly matters among them. Rhaenyra, even if her youngest children are excluded, is left with only her eldest son, Jaehaerys, to support her. Though he has the potential to grow into a great leader in the future, he is still much too young to ride a dragon into battle. Grimly, ironically, Rhaenys Eve Best, the one advisor they can't afford to lose in the ensuing battle at Rook's Rest, is the only one who has the necessary experience and is aware of the horrifying price of war. In House of the Dragon Season 2, Rhaenyra is having trouble with her own council. Rhaenyra has witnessed firsthand for a great deal of her life just how patriarchal Westeros can be, especially toward its nobles. Alysanne is resentful of her sins, in spite of and precisely because of this. She has made a very deliberate effort to challenge conventional gender roles, even while she is still a princess. She is still the most powerful woman in Westeros today, and if she succeeds in seizing the Iron Throne, she will become the first Targaryen queen. She still faces many of the same challenges and shortcomings as most political leaders, and their effects are exacerbated by the misogynistic views of her own lords and knights. Even in grief, Rhaenyra is a leader with exceptional political instincts and self-control. This is very different from her counterpart in Fire and Blood, where she continues to be even more murderous in her pursuit of what she believes to be her inheritance and openly demands the death of Aegonei for opposing her. Rather, in the spirit of a great leader, the Rhaenyra shown in the program does everything in her power to prevent conflict and only really commits when it seems that peace is the only alternative left. But considering how damaging a fight like this is bound to be, when more tragedy strikes, which is likely, time will tell if her self-control holds. After giving the conflict her wholehearted devotion, Rhaenyra is resolved to personally lead her own men into combat out of sincere care, rather than the conceit that almost results in Aegonei's death. Even after the terrible events of the Battle of Rook's Rest, Rhaenyra was determined to show her value by commanding her own soldiers. In the end, Rhaenyra's leadership position paradoxically renders her the least feasible option because she is now essential to the war effort. Rather, Rhaenys accepts that she is disposable and agrees to take on the assignment, which turns out to be her last. Mankind in the Black Council is boys playing war. The series consistently explores the issue of the glory and horror of battle, which is subject to perspective and may yet be exhilarating for an observer. Like Aegon, the men on the Black Council are still all too eager to use force and go to war, frequently without realizing the extent of the destruction that might result, especially when dragons are involved. It should come as no surprise that they treat the two women who make up their ranks with such contempt, despite the fact that they are far more suited to assess the extent of the dispute. Baela finds herself disregarded, despite the fact that her reconnaissance on Dragonback has yielded vital intelligence. Likewise, Rhaenys is marginalized by this group of men, just because she was not given the appellation Rhaenyra's hand, despite the fact that she possesses the wisdom of age and should have become queen. Men consider noblewomen to be legitimate solely if they carry the political symbols and titles that are meaningful to them, regardless of their expertise or the might of their dragon. The fact that Jaehaerys is the only one to receive even a modicum of grudging respect from his fellow lords is nevertheless telling. Jace's abilities play a part in this as well. He has shown himself to be a strong presence in such a huge and complicated family and has the potential to grow into a strong leader in the future. However, he still has little influence over the council, mostly because of his personal lack of combat experience, a vital component in a conflict involving so many dragons engaged in combat. With decades of political scheming experience under his belt, Corlys Velaryon is the only one who is able to maintain control over the situation, and he properly chastises the other lords for their infighting. The councillors treat female political leadership with such contempt that they informally force their queen to abdicate by sending her into exile for her alleged protection. Thankfully, the Black Queen still has her crown, which is the one thing that matters most, and she puts an end to any opposition right away. In House of the Dragon Season 2, Rhaenys saw the foolishness of going to war. Rhaenys becomes an important part of Rhaenyra's court and serves as a personal mentor to the queen she will eventually serve. She is the most aware that Rhaenyra is going to have to pass a significant balance test because she has always been ignored by males. The queen has a higher purpose because of the prophecy. Therefore, on the one hand, she must suppress their irrational inclinations. However, Rhaenyra cannot afford to ignore her male lords completely, as she has made some significant supporters but still finds it difficult to win over the nobles to her cause. Rhaenyra, like her queen, has experienced the devastation and futility of war firsthand, having lost her own father in a brief battle with Dorne many years ago. She is also reluctant to engage in combat unless it is absolutely essential because she is aware of her past and the outcome of the last dragon-on-dragon battle. When that moment comes, she is ferociously committed to completing the task herself without inflicting more damage than is required. She gains admiration, if not downright envy, from Team Green. But her terrifying fighting skills do nothing to win her favor with the Lords of Westeros. Rhaenys is the first black person to see action in the Dance of the Dragons, which makes it cruelly ironic. She was the first to volunteer for a possible suicide mission, despite her reservations. She is the most seasoned dragon rider on either side, save for Daemon and his dragon Caraxes, who are both still in service. But she is also the only one the Blacks cannot afford to lose. Rhaenyra is now even more alone than before because of Rhaenys' passing at Rook's Rest. Not only has she lost her finest counsel, but she is also the only other person who can relate to her struggles as a noblewoman in battle. Thanks for watching.